Hey, what's up? So we should be live. Let me know, please, that you can hear me, that you can see me. Today is gonna be a fun one. I'll give you a few updates. It's gonna be interesting, hopefully. Um, so there's a painting here. Obviously, what we're gonna do today is actually look at some paintings, studio paintings, so a bit larger ones. I actually had to remove everything from the desk because I wanted to have enough room. As for quality of video, it should be better today. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. So the quality should be better. I noticed something. So if you remember, I started using StreamYard, which is a software that does a lot of it for you. And you can see my face here. It does a lot of the, you can put the cool labels and layouts and show the comments and have guests a little easier. And that was great, but the quality wasn't good. And I don't know why. And then I realized the last time I had good quality in a stream was when I used OBS to stream, so it's a little less convenient for me. I can't neatly see your comments to the side, but the quality is better, I think. So let me know. I mean, the connection may be slow or the frame rate may be low, but at least the picture should be sharper. So hopefully that works out well. Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into this. So I have about, I guess, 12 pretty big paintings here to share with you. Some of them aren't even going to fit here, so I'll just switch over to front view and show them to you here. But I thought I'd share a few of the I call them studio works. It's just larger pieces that I definitely don't show on video. Some of them I have actually, but I don't show the processes usually. Even though one of them was painted on the channel, there's a video, you can find it. But for the most part, these were painted just in my own kind of peace and quiet. Most of these, because for large paintings, I do tend to go for something that's a little more meaningful to me because I know I'm going to devote a lot of time for it. So it's usually from pictures I took, around stories that I care about. So there's going to be hopefully an added benefit to that. And what I will encourage you to do, and thank you so much for being here, is to ask questions. Ask me any questions related to technique, dealing with large paintings come with a whole bag of challenges. So feel free to ask me if there's a specific technique I used in one of the paintings, if there's how did I handle a specific wash. For example, this turned out I was super lucky because you get a bit of that reflected light from the floor that looks great. So handling large washes, all of these challenges, they're big. And so any technique related question you have, just feel free to drop them in the chat. I will try and address them. I think today we'll aim for about an hour, though we could go beyond that, but we'll aim for about an hour long live stream. More than that, I just have a few more stuff to finish today, and I just want to have time. And it's just, we're looking at paintings. It's not going to be a process. So hopefully it will just demand less time. But we'll see about that. We can go a little overboard. One more thing, I would really appreciate if you take a moment and just drop a like on the video. It really helps it reach more people. And I should be asking more. I never ask it on, I just always mention it near the ends of videos. In the live streams, I do tend to ask it more in the beginning, but just if you can do that, it will really be appreciated. So thank you so much for that. So let's start with this one. This is a painting from here in Israel, a city called Yavne. There's this big kind of, what would you call it? Like a lot, just empty lot. There actually, I believe they put a lot of construction materials there recently. It's a little south. It's not really that southern, but it's a little to the south. If you ever visited, or maybe you've been there by chance, you may know it. And there was this big lot with this Chevrolet Jeep. I don't know, it's not a Jeep. I mean, it's a Chevrolet. What is it? You let me know the model. That was always parked there, and I just really loved the scene. I remember I walked with Ruth here in the morning, and I saw this, or kind of late morning, and I saw this, and I had to take a picture. Let me switch over so I can monitor your comments. Good, yeah, thank you, Dean. I'm happy that it's sharper. So, and I'm gonna talk a bit about this, then I'm gonna look at some of your comments. So yeah, I basically loved this scene. Took a picture because look at the light. There's such a sharp, strong contrast, and you have very clear shapes, which I love. So all of the left side of the Jeep and then the shadows cast by it are so clear. And I love when you have these lovely patterns of light that is cast like that. I just love it with all the gaps. When an artist can do that effectively, I really like that kind of a thing. By the way, should I move this here and move myself here? Maybe that'll make a little more sense. no, let's do it this way because then the camera is a little closer to this end, so you see it a little better. And I can hold it up and show you some of the details. I think it looks really, really nice. The light is a little strong, my apologies. But yeah, I took a lot of care with this one. I can talk a bit about the method and the process just on very broad terms, because there is a method to the madness that is large watercolors. I will do that in just a second, actually. Let me see what you're saying in the chat, and then we'll move on to that. So let's see who we have here. Dean, thank you so much. Justine says, let's go. Thank you for being here. Mark Ohio. Woo, starting an hour later today, so I'm actually here live at the beginning. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here. Much, much appreciated. Megan Kelly is in the house. Hello. Hey, Christine Bourgeois. How are you? Hey, Mark, again, thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Lei. How are you doing? Tyes, how are you? And let me know if I pronounce it correctly. Sorry if I don't. Thank you, Dean. John, how are you, my friend? Hope everything is going well. Polly, expert, I love that name. Hey, Liron, hi, everyone. Live stream, yay. Vespa for Jen, good morning. I'm really looking forward, Liron, to seeing your paintings this morning. Thank you. Yeah, and hopefully it's going to be chill. You can listen maybe while you're getting ready or doing some other stuff. You don't have to be fully engaged and see like a process. Shepherd artwork looks like a Chevy Silverado. What colors do you use for the dirks in the silver truck? What is it? I don't know what dirks are. Sorry, let me know and I'll tell you. In the silver truck. I mean, you're talking about that, right? Yeah, I can probably find this picture after the stream and see the exact model. But yeah, I love this section, especially with the thing that's supposed to pull, you know. Super cool. Aaron Litton just hopping in. Holy crap, the truck painting is amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really underrated. It's funny because this has been on the online gallery for a while now, but it's just, you know, if you don't browse deep enough, you won't see it. I really like this one. And this is one of my favorites, honestly. I should probably just frame and hang it up here. This is really nice. This section too, I love it when I did that. And I will talk about technique in just a moment. Marjorie, I was hoping I would catch this live. I love studio tours. I used to drive my professors bonkers many, many years ago when I worked in oils as I sat cross-legged on the floor and painted. Cool. Looks great, by the way. Thank you so much. Javi Jev, how are you? It's been a while, I think, since I saw you, right? Greetings from Chicago. Looking forward to this tour. Thank you. Ambi, hi, Liron. So nice to be here. Thank you so much. I can't show you our comments on the screen because I'm not using the fancy StreamYard. Sorry. Pence Palacio, hi, Liron. Marjorie Johnson, I hope to see your workspace. This should be a blast. Love your work. Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing a studio tour. I can probably do that soon. Maybe I'll organize a bit first. It's a bit messy now. Yeah, I call it studio painting tour, but it's more like the paintings, not the studio itself. So sorry if I misled anyone. John S. Love the truck picture. Will you be moving the camera around and showing more of your workspace? I can do that. Yeah, I can show more of the workspace. I just don't think it'll be a good day for like a studio tour, but I can definitely show a bit more of the setup maybe later. Looking forward to see how you organize your supplies. Yeah, definitely. Darks. Oh, okay, darks. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I thought that's a part of the truck and that I'm not familiar with. What are dirks? So, like, I have no idea for the darks. Yeah, I think so. This is very much based on French ultramarine, as you can probably see. I also used a bit of phthalo blue. So the darks are a combination of my primary colors. This is mostly French ultramarine, a bit of phthalo blue, and perylene red, as always, and yellow ochre. So all of these are, I have a transparent yellow ochre. I haven't used it in a while. I think I ran out of it, and it's that. So yeah, very nice color combination that I really like. One thing to note, the color harmony here is on point, and it's one of those lucky breaks, because back then I wasn't really in that good control of color harmony, but I got it right here, and I was kind of lucky, to be honest. Let me show you the back, not that there's anything interesting here. This is, if I'm not mistaken, Saunders Waterford. This is not Arch paper. Yeah, Saunders. Yeah, you can see it here, the symbol. Hopefully you can see it. Let me check it here. Yeah, so that's the Saunders Waterford. And I'm set to auto zoom. I think that should be better than manually, because I do want to hold things up and show them to you. So yeah. Pickup, yeah, pickup truck. No paint is gray, Dean. Yeah, I didn't use back then so much of the convenience mixes. You can see hints of the phthalo blue in the darks here. I was a heavy phthalo blue user. Now I do think this is perylene red, as I mentioned, but it could be quinacridone rose. No, I think it's perylene red. I think it's perylene red here. Jose Ramos says, really looking good, a Silverado. Jose from Puerto Rico. I should check if it's a Silverado. Let me check for a second. Chevy Silverado. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, I believe that's the model. Yeah, I mean, I bet there are very similar Silverados, different years, but it's definitely this one, just an older one, I think. Probably an older one. It does look a bit like the 2021 one, but I'm not sure. Yeah, but it's somewhere from that time. And don't worry, we're gonna jump to another painting soon. I know not everyone's into cars. Javi Jav, I'm always on, but do not comment all the time. I keep up with the vids, and even though I paint in all the acrylics I do. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's really cool to hear. Thank you so much. So yeah, let me show you a few details close, talk a bit about the process, and then we'll jump into a different painting because I want to show you a bunch more. So basically, it's like I always say, work from large to small. So the first wash is critical, and you have to put all your ducks in a row. You have to have this at an angle so that the paint flows. You have to mix enough water. You have to work with a large enough of a brush. I was asked about a brush, so let me show you. I don't remember if I used this one in particular, the Raphael Soft Aqua. This one is a 1.5 inch, 40 millimeter brush. I did use that in the past for larger paintings. I may have used it for this one too. You just have to work fast, especially for those first washes. Sky, ground, and the background. The background, I believe I actually rotated a bit so that I could work like that. And that makes more sense because if you're working on a thin strip, when it's small it doesn't matter as much, but when it's a big piece, you want to make sure that it flows as much as possible. So sometimes I'll tilt, rotate and tilt that way, and then I get the flow down at an angle like this. You see, like at an angle. And then this wash becomes a little easier, but still not the easiest. You still have to be really on top of it and work on it. And here there was an underwash that was a little yellow. If I'm not mistaken, I painted the highlights, so I actually worked properly from light to dark. I painted the highlights here and there, and then I painted the shadows around it, which is a really good work process to have. Sometimes I like to work differently, but if you're just getting started, you're kind of working on finding your bearings, it's a good process to have just to get started with. So that's how I work. Then here it's just you see a bit of the wash underneath it. Now, could this be the Jaune Brilliant, the white opaque color I use? Maybe, I'm not sure, because it looks a little opaque to me, but if I'm not mistaken, it's just color that I left. I think in this example, I just came back with water, left a bit of a gap that shows the wash underneath. Though I could be wrong, it looks a little opaque. So I might have just gone wet with some opaque white paint, and it really shows that reflected light from below that I love. Stayed pretty close and loyal to the reference, didn't change much. But yeah, all of these shapes, just beautiful. I really enjoyed doing this one. So let's move on to another one. Let's do a quick one because I did show you this one, but I have it here still. It's a self-portrait I did, so it's always fun to show. But I did show it a few times, so I won't talk for too long about it. Put a lot of effort in it. It's not that big actually of a size. It's pretty normal. It's more kind of like A3 size, I guess. But this one I really put a lot of work in, with a lot of emphasis on showing the colors, getting the right edges. You see the edges are critical here to get that rounded transition in the nose. Look at this, like this is beautiful. I love sharp and then soft, and that's something that is really important to get if you can. Edges won't really make or break the painting. You can get away with just hard edges, believe it or not. Some people paint like this. As long as your values are on point, the drawing's accurate, you're good. But if you can get them, it can add so much more. So yeah, I think I would have painted this pretty much the same today. It's from about, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago? I'm not even sure. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Shepherd, artwork, amazing job showing the reflective silver. I always have so much to. Yeah, same for me. It wasn't easy to portray that. It really wasn't. It's something. Sometimes you'll get a lucky break with it. Honestly, this time I was a bit lucky. MC says really good. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. You're way off. Yeah, no worries. It's actually really similar to Payne's grading. It's just not, but Payne's gray is kind of a mix of phthalo, French ultramarine, red. You know, you get that gray and a bit of yellow in there. They're all really close, right? Notice this little bit of green here. I really like that touch. Just was a really fun painting to work on. I want to divert your attention to one thing, especially when you're doing these kinds of beard and details like that. You want to make sure that you're not overworking, and I was close to starting to overwork, but not. Now the way you make sure not to overwork is look at the first wash for the beard under the details. I want to show you, I'll point with the pencil. I want you to see this wash right here. Can you see between the darks? It's not the darks. This is just one even wash connected. It's not all portrayed with, thin lines like that, which often people do with grass blades, stuff like that. No, it's one wash. You see, it's connected. I did leave some variety in the shape, in its kind of edges. You see these sharp turns to show highlights in the beard, in the mustache in this example, but it's still one even wash. You see all throughout. And then I added a bit more darker spots to where the shadows are. But I treat them more like shadows, shapes of dark. You see? So if you build things up, if you often build things up like this, it's gonna get messy really fast. So you need to have one wash maybe that's more like a shape. And then on top of that, you can add some dark, smaller shapes. I hope that makes sense. Because that was really a leading principle here. Now look at the hair. The hair is a shape. It's not strands of hair. There's one strand of hair that I tend to have here always. It's this one, by the way. You can see it. It's just reversed because of the camera. Right? Yeah, that's my right hand. You see it? Well, it's not reversed. It's normal. I don't know why it's reversed here, honestly. Maybe I flipped the photo reference. I'm not sure. But yeah, this. Just get one. The rest can be one shape with a bit of wet in it. Of course, I got these transitions to be smooth. And think about it this way: like the focal point is here, so I don't need all of this area to distract us from it. I have enough details as it is in what I was wearing, the sweater, so it can take too much attention. You know what I mean? But yeah, let me know if you have any questions on this process, and then we'll move on to another painting. Ruth here is chilling. So I don't want to interrupt her by placing paintings here. Let's do a fun one. So this is something that not many people have seen. I actually did 2 abstract works, and I'll share them with you right now. I was experimenting a lot with doing abstracts. So I love this kind of a structure of cubes, and you can almost visualize it like cubes protruding outwards. And this was really fun. I used a grid. I was super organized, made sure all the lines aligned properly. I believe my vanishing point, I actually drew it outside the paper. So for example, it's here. All of these lines, they converge to a point somewhere outside. I believe I drew it. And I believe I was really careful to make sure they all align so that it's perfect. So the perspective here is pretty much spot on. And then I went through an interesting process of just painting the top parts in yellow, and let me see if I can, maybe I'll make the light a little weaker. I think it is, it really is, let me turn it off for a second. Yeah, that's not good. Maybe I'll just turn it down a notch. Okay, maybe that's better. I just don't want, there's a lot of glare. But in any case, no, that's not, let's just do it like that. We'll let the camera do its thing. Yeah, that's a little better. So yeah, I just painted all the tops with yellow, mixed a lot of yellow, because I didn't want to remix. I wanted to make sure that, or you know what I could have done? I think what I might have done is actually do an initial wash of yellow. I think that's how I did it. Huge initial wash of yellow, then I glazed the reds, and then I ended up adding the blues later, like last. And I really tried to think about it. Okay, light comes from here, casts the shadow of this box on top of these 2 boxes, and then it casts here, and then I did wet. Oops, I drew on it, but it's fine. It's easy to get rid of. It disappears. What you can't get rid of usually is pencil lines that were drawn before painting, because the paint seals it. But if you just, if I draw on it, I can get rid of it really easily. But yeah, did this shape, then did wet and wet for the corners to get it to feel, deeper. And yeah, that's a really bizarre one, and really unlike most of my works. And then you see all of these lines here. I just left them. I drew on the entire page, then taped and painted only within the taped area, and I loved that it stayed there. I didn't want to erase them, so that was a fun one. Curious to hear your thoughts on this, actually. Let me know. Let's see what you're saying. Wait a sec. Gotta catch up. All the comments are delayed. Oh yeah, thank you Vespa for, you say, love my self-portrait. Thank you so much. A lot of effort in the self-portrait, but not half as thank you so much, Marjorie. I think it describes me well. Dean says, gives it depth. Pence Palacio, I actually used your self-portrait as my reference between styles in creating the first layer of one of my works, because I love the transitions between the sharp and soft edges. Oh, that's really fun to hear. That's awesome. And the first wash was really interesting too, in that it had all of these colors. If you remember, it was super colorful. I don't expect anyone to remember, but if you haven't been following the stories and the stages, it was like all over. A lot of blues, a lot of reds, a lot of yellows. I love primary colors. Dragonfly Art Cafe says, whoa, that is beautiful. Such likeness, thank you so much. And hi yourself. Monica and Jay, good morning. Marjorie, further PS on list comment. Robert Bateman was more handsome than photo of his. I guess it has to do with live versus image. Yeah, it could be actually. Hubert. Holy moly, thank you so much. Lay Popular, I love the hair. The tip about how you did the beard is super helpful. Yeah, that's really important. Javi Jev loves the abstracts. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marjorie. Yeah, it is great for perspective. A lot of patience, Vespa, for sure. Would the light fall off Beamer? Would the light fall off Beamer? I'm not sure. Let me know what you mean by that. I'm really bad at understanding sometimes when I'm live. I'm like, I have to read a few times. Megan Kelly, I kind of want to try painting this. Yeah, go for it. It's fun. It's really fun. Looks like a great practice. And value control too. Yeah, for sure. So let me flip over to the next one. This one I called Stairway to Heaven. I don't know, it just was the same concept, but this time it's just individual ladders of cubes. Now, here's an interesting bit. So what I did here, you can actually see it. I actually taped, I used just tape, masking tape, to preserve my highlights here, which is fascinating. So I used, and you can see it here. You can see the marks where I taped it. You see this? Can you see them? I'll hold it up close. Let me know if you can see this. This is actually interesting, and I forgot about it completely. See this mark? Where the color seeped through. So basically, I taped off some highlights like that, where I wanted it to be really bright. And then I did the initial wash, because my fear was, how will I get this to look like skies and with all the variations and you know, splashes and everything, if I have to carefully work around highlights. And back then I wasn't as proficient, and it's a large piece, so I just taped them off, and you can see it here and here and here and a bit of it here as well. You can literally see like there was tape here. Painted over it freely, let it do its thing, and then I started glazing the shadows. All colors are very transparent. This, I believe, is phthalo blue, quinacridone rose, and the yellow is, I think, new gamboge. This was back when I used a lot of new gamboge. Now, I wonder how the color is going to compare to if I just show you here, because the color is not as accurate. So let me show you. I don't know if the color is more accurate here, but you see the reds? The reds are really, really bright. So I don't know if that's better like this, but just figured I'd try showing you. But the colors here, the reds are very vibrant here, in particular. And you can see the camera is struggling to focus, but I think you can see it here. And I love these touches, wet and wet. Now, one more note about this paper. If I'm going to rotate it, it's very hard to see, but if you're experienced, you will notice this isn't 300 grams. This is 600 grams. This is double the weight of my normal paper, of what most people use 300 grams. I have a hair here. Go away. So most people use 300 grams. This is 600. Which was really insane to use at the time. It was crazy, and it didn't buckle whatsoever. You see, it's just straight. The paper stayed flat completely. That was a really interesting experience. This one too, by the way. Both of these are in 600 grams. I missed that. Maybe I'll buy a few more sheets if I find them locally. 600 grams is like a real treat. It's just not important enough for me to pay the double, the like times 1.5, I guess. difference in price. It's just more expensive, 1.5 times more expensive. So it wasn't worth it for most pieces, but actually if you're painting large, it could be quite useful. And if you just want to treat yourself, once in a while, it really is a nice paper. That is very hard to mess it up, and it takes a good beating with the brush. You can lift and scrub and whatever you want. You can erase like crazy and nothing happens. It's just really, really nice. Sorry, my nose is a little strange. But yeah, Hubert. Yeah, so I know what you mean now. I remember it, because back in the day I was exploring, and I think I know what work you mean. Great exercise, yeah, we talked about that. Soft-edged shadows. Yeah, definitely. I use a lot of it here. In the, well, it's not really, like more in the wet and wet. The shadows themselves aren't that soft, but on the portrait they are, if that's what you meant. Megan says I could hear the grammage on the microphone when you move the paper around. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, for sure. It's like you can hear that. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is like heavy duty paper. I love it. I love it so much. It's just so fun to use. So yeah, I'm gonna set these aside, and let's do another one. And if you want to see one of the paintings again, just let me know. I'll take them out and show them to you again. Maybe I'll stack them differently so that the thick ones are on the bottom. I just want to make separate stacks. So this one is the one from the thumbnail, obviously. This is huge. Let me give you an overall view in the face camera, and then I'll show it on the table. So that's that. The story behind this one, I'm really bad at angles here. Like this, yeah. The story behind this one is we went to a hotel here in Tel Aviv. It's called the Polyhouse Hotel. And it's actually a really neat place because it allows dogs to come with you on vacation. So we stayed there with Ruth. We did what's called a staycation. Stayed there. Now let me show you some of the details better. Now the funny thing is, actually, before we go there, the funny thing is, you'd think like I'm weird for taking a picture of this scene, but actually this is a part of a huge picture. So I took a picture showing the entire, like you see all of the view and all of the buildings, and then like a tenth of it is just this spot. So I enlarged it really significantly. So it's not even like a main part of the picture. It looks like I zoomed in on them, but I have no idea who these are, but I didn't zoom in. I didn't take a picture of them. I took a huge picture, and then that's a really small part of it that I decided to zoom in on. And this was revolutionary for me in terms of technique, because it's big. This is what do you call it, full sheet or half a sheet? I'm not even sure. I can tell you the size, and you'll let me know, just for comparison. So this is 56 centimeters, so that's what? 18 inches maybe. I'm really bad at math, don't hold me up to it. 76 centimeters. You have to divide it by 2.5. So yeah, so it's pretty big of a painting. A lot of care needs to be taken with the large shapes. The sky wash, I had to work really fast, and it's not perfect at all, by the way. There's a lot of mistakes here, a lot of unevenness. For this, I definitely used this big brush, because there's no way I could do it otherwise. I actually had to remove everything from my desk, tape it directly to the desk, and really up the angle. Otherwise, I'd have no prayer of getting this right. And then the most enjoyable part of this was actually her hair. Just there was such a nice variation in warms and cools, and it's a dark shadow with strong contrast next to a lighter valley, which was really fun. The water was also quite a challenge, because the ripples were quite complex, and I believe this in particular is like a section I went over like 4 times, I think, because it wasn't dark enough, and then it wasn't dark enough again, and it wasn't dark enough again. So I had to go over it a few times. This is 300 grams. If there was ever a time to use 600 grams, it's for this kind of thing. It's 300. And a lot of care, like the sea. This was the most important part for me in the first wash, because I had to get it in the first wash. I believe I had to keep it wet and then go much darker here with the phthalo blue, much stronger, to get it to stay, right? Because otherwise it would spread out all over the place. So that was a challenge. The foliage was a big challenge. It's a pool on a rooftop. It's so cool. You see all of these thin details in the rooftops, and actually it's one of those, like these details here, if you're painting small, it's just going to be incredibly hard to cram it all in. There's actually quite a lot going on here, so that's good that I worked large. Large in a way is more forgiving. because you can work slower on some sections and develop them, and then when you take a few steps back, it looks more realistic or more accurate because it's more forgiving for like mistakes you made if you drew incorrectly or inaccurately, or when you're working small, every small mistake is huge in the grand scheme of, in the context of the entire painting. Here, not so much. Here, it's actually a bit more forgivable. So yeah, this building was really fun to paint too. Really try to get it to flow in one go. And then I remember I was at a stage where I asked myself, do I want to add details to the buildings here? Do I really want to do that? And I decided not to, because it would have sent so much of the attention to the back, and I don't want that. And I wanted it to really stay here on them and the pool. This was a really fun part too, because it's a kind of a straw hat. It's very bright under the sun. A lot of wet and wets here, by the way, too. This section was painted like alla prima. Like started at the top, moved all the way down to the bottom. I can definitely see a lot of things I would have done differently here today, and I would have gotten a better edge variation here and all of those good stuff. But considering like the time I did it was a while back, I'm very happy with this one. Very, very happy. Let me see what you're asking. Just want to make sure that I'm on top of it. 22 inches. Yeah, that makes sense. Mic problems? No, don't know. Oh, okay, it's hitting the mic. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's gonna improve with the smaller pieces. The building on left looks like on fire. Does it look like on fire? I don't know. Maybe it looks a little like ashy. I don't know, but not on fire. I don't think so, at least. But yeah. Maybe. Oh, you mean like smoke? Interesting. I haven't thought of that. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. I think in the context of the whole thing, it actually works. But I know what you mean now. I think there is a bit of it. I don't know. Well, I can always tell the story that there was a fire on it and in it, and make it a historic day, make something up, and make it be worth more. So, yeah. And if you want to see some zoomed in details, it's a bit rough here with the light, but hopefully you can see some of them. But I think, yeah, this was a good choice because it's so close to the focal point, but then the farther buildings, I didn't want to include more details. So, yeah. So, let us do another one, shall we? Which one should we go for now? Let's do this. This is quick. So this one I actually painted in a video. You can go and find that video. I believe it was about depth using colors. So, and I'm sorry again if there was some noise problems. Foliage trees are such a beautiful subtle touch. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vespa. Yeah, it was a tough one to get to. Nettie, I like the building without detail. That way, more focus on the girls. Yeah, definitely. And John says, love the hotel pool composition, one of my favorites. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a really fun composition. Whenever you can put your focal point really to the side, I think it's an opportunity. It could be really fun, a really fun thing to attempt, right? It can be a gimmick, so you want to maybe not do it like all the time and keep it very, like if you look at this, the focal point is maybe main one is around this area, right? This tower, this big building, beautiful colors, strong reds too here. So it's really close to the center. If you place the focal point here, something about it I like a lot. So yeah, this was one heck of a process. I remember this wash was so hard to get smoothly, and you can see me struggling with this big brush. Even with the big brush, I struggled. The smartest thing I did here, two really smart things that I like. First, blending this. I couldn't stress enough how important that was. It opens up this entire section. Second is the tower. I think the values here are really on point. Now, this is relatively high key. This was probably much darker if I'm not mistaken. And it could have been pushed to be darker and making some of these, making the shadowy part pop too. But I believe I try to keep it high key just to get the flow, because again, you always have that trade-off. If it's too dark, you don't get a flow, and if it's a large painting, it's really hard. So maybe you work in glazes and you slowly darken more and more and more. That's a solution, right? But if you prefer to get it as dark as you can the first time, that's definitely one way of doing it. Now, I don't remember if this was one glaze. It looks like it was just one. It doesn't look like I did two, but who knows? You know, who knows? These I love this section a lot. Here, the foliage I think could have been improved a bit, but honestly, it's a very challenging scene. It's one of those scenes that if you're working on and you're a beginner, you really need to like maybe start with a small section, get it down, then do another small section, and then try the whole thing. I mean, you can do whatever you want, no rules, but it may be a bit overwhelming at first. Like if I think about a year into watercolor, or even 2 years into watercolor, had I attempted this kind of a thing, it would have been tough. I would have gone lost somewhere along the way. I would not be able to navigate, like physically navigate. Actually, am I here? Where am I on the reference photo? It would have been so hard. It's one of those things you have to really practice and improve. So yeah, but this was fun. You can see the process, the entire thing on the YouTube channel. I think it was a snippets kind of thing, so not the entire thing maybe. Let me know if you have any questions about that one, but I think you can see most of it, like the highlights. Pence, maybe I'm proud to say that some of the paintings that you've shown made me familiarize all the videos that you've posted. I just love the process in all of these stunning paintings. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you've seen a lot of these, that it means you're like a true follower and true fan, so thank you so much. Vespa, what does alla prima mean? Spelling? Is it not just alla prima? It's alla prima. I'll write it down. Alla prima. Just means, you know, directly painting in one sitting, or maybe like putting it down without letting anything dry, just getting it in one sitting. A lot of wet and wets, a lot of play with the edges, really just to get it right the first time. That's the way I see it, at least. Ginny, why would the farther buildings have so much detail but not the closer ones? So are you referring to the previous one, I guess? I think they're pretty balanced. I don't know. Let me know which painting you meant. Thank you so much, Tinina. Really appreciate it. Yeah, let me know, Ginny, because if you're talking about this one, why would the farther building have so much detail but not the closer one? So this is the farther building, and these are a little closer. So I'm not sure. Maybe you talk about this one. If you're asking about this one, it's just because I could have done a much better job. This was a big mess, the process. I got lucky and it turned out really colorful and nice and bright, but it was a big mess. So let us move to one of my favorites, all-time favorite pieces that you'll see today and ever. And it's not gonna fit here, no way, but it's my Fifth Avenue painting. So this is something special, and I have done a video showing it, so you know, if you've been following, and Ruth kind of comes along and interrupts. Here it is, pretty huge. It's the same size as the hotel, the Polyhouse hotel, really, but this one is, as you can see, vertical. Now, a couple of interesting things. So this is based on a photo I took in New York, in Fifth Avenue. I saw this building and I have to take a picture. The light and shadow were so interesting on it. And it's the perfect example of how larger sizes can be very forgiving, as I mentioned, because all of these small details, if your hand wobbles a bit, it won't be noticeable because it's such a big piece overall, so it won't be visible. Now, a couple of interesting things here. This woman was not in the photo. I actually took a different photo, plopped her in because I missed human presence here. All of those people weren't in the photo, if I'm not mistaken. This dude, this person, none of them were in the photo, in the original one. I actually added them. Now let me switch over so you can see some of the details. So again, let me see how I get to it again. So she wasn't in the original one. These people weren't in the original one. I actually took them from a different reference photo, plopped them in. I chose people that were, the photo was taken at a similar angle, so the height makes sense. Same light and shadow conditions, and I kind of invented some of them. But it ended up working really nicely. This taxi, I love it so much. Now here's the key part of this painting. Let me show it to you actually like this, because I want to show you something interesting. One of the challenges in larger paintings is to see the full picture. So to not get too caught up in a small section so that you lose the overall balance. And what is the overall balance here? This window is struck directly by the sunlight. So it's going to be light, it's going to be detailed, a lot of things are happening here. So we have to balance it out. How do we balance it out? By simplifying the rest and pulling the viewer's attention into here and using these focal points along the way to do it. So this means we have a huge part that is in the shadow with all sorts of things happening, and we have to get it fresh, and that's a challenge. Now let me switch back and show you up close again. That's not easy. So let me get rid of this. We'll just do this. So you see here, this section in particular, getting these cars to flow together as much as possible was a huge challenge. This car here, I believe it's a Mercedes, getting that whole thing to be simple, but still look good, be completely merged with the cast shadow. Same with the taxi here, this big taxi, and this car. This car was easy. This car is just paint the shape. This is hard, because this you have 1, 2, 3 together merged with this shadow and skipping those highlights. It was super challenging. Plus, you see I did 2 glazes, and I think you can see it really well. I did one, and then I did another one because it wasn't dark enough. Now here, I was lucky, because you would think, you see this building, it's dark, and this goes dark all the way down, that I'll have to merge. That I get to this point for the building, I'll have to merge. No. I was lucky there were a few highlights here, a bus over there somewhere, whatever. I had a stopping point, so I could stop here. Here I actually connected it a bit, but I could, generally speaking, stop here and then continue the wash. This is why I'm really proud of this one, and we haven't even gotten to the focal point itself, which is like this thing, which I absolutely love, especially like this part right over here. I had a drop of genius here. This blue window with the warm shadows, that's something I couldn't have planned for, really. I just got lucky, to be honest with you. Really, really like this one. I think it's probably one of my, if you take into consideration like all factors considered, it's probably one of my best works ever. Probably. Now, if you want to rotate, if you're on a phone or whatever, you can rotate and see the full thing maybe like this, but like getting these to be wet and wet was so tough. And I remember building it up, starting from the windows, connecting to the balcony, connecting to the window, connecting here, connecting to the shadows, connecting as much as possible, as many connections as possible. And this is kind of a, what do you call it, a Haussmann style building, kind of like Paris with these lines. I'm not sure what the name is, but it's just so beautiful. And it really inspired me. And when you paint something, just to kind of wrap up this painting, when you paint something that truly inspires you, you will do a good job at it. At least better than if you would paint something you completely hate, Which is why and how I was able to handle this big of a thing. So I really think this is one of my best works so far. Really one of the best works. I should take this out more and look at it. It's just really interesting. Really, really interesting. And everything here went through like, how do I phrase this? Everything here has been scrutinized. Every compositional aspect. Like you notice that there are pencil lines here. And this will be the kind of last quick thing I'll show you. You'll notice there are some pencil lines here because this was originally supposed to go higher, but I didn't want it to intersect with this corner, so I lowered it down. There are so many small details like that here that I really had to take into account to make sure that it ends up looking good in the grand scheme of things. So I hope that makes sense. Let me look at some of what you're writing, and then we'll move on to the next painting, which is also quite awesome, if I may say so. So Dean says, just when I thought I saw my favorite painting, I know what you mean. The buildings on the right seem to further back in the background, but have more detail, yeah. Dean says, sorry, I mixed two comments. Just when I thought I saw my favorite painting, love, you yank out another masterpiece. Love this building. Thank you so much. Felicia, and yay, finally caught another live of yours. Love the Fifth Avenue painting. Got scared of doing big paintings. A4 already seems intimidating, though I'd like to get more comfortable. Actually, oh, thank you, Tweety Kid. It feels like you could walk into the painting. That's like the best compliment I can ask for. Shanna also says the Fifth Avenue is amazing. Thank you so much. Funny thing. I have this video called, I believe, Mother Hue, after Alvaro Castanet's concept. And I believe I painted this scene. So if you go to my channel right now or after the stream, search for Mother Hue, New York. You'll find a really small version of this, like this size, that I sold. So I don't have it here, I think, or I gifted it. I don't remember. No, I think I sold it. So you should really look at that. It's really cool. It was on my gallery too. So yeah, good. So we're good. We're caught up. Yeah. Feel free to drop any more comments and questions if you have. Shepard artwork, absolutely one of my favorites. Thank you so much. So let's do a quick one. This one you saw really recently, right? Remember this one at an angle. So I showed it to you up close. I wouldn't go into too many details. The composition is a little controversial. The picture originally was just like this. I just took it at an angle, and then I figured, you know what? It looks really cool like that. I'm gonna paint it like that. Actually, the colors you see on camera now are very accurate. In the video I filmed, they weren't as accurate. Something was going on with the lighting. This is really close to what it actually looks like. And you can see it in the gallery as well. And I scanned it. No, I didn't scan it, but I took a really good picture of it, so you can see it there. I kind of remember I scanned it, but I can't. It's huge. It's more than A3. It's what is it, like 2 maybe? But yeah, this one I really like. One thing I'm extremely proud of, out of all of these details, it's this. This part I nailed down. This stayed the same from the initial wash. Haven't changed a thing. And when I see artists that are really proficient in watercolor, that's the thing they do. They're able to get a lot done on the first wash. It's something I strive for. Because this was very wet, and I had to use like the thickest paint you can imagine, almost straight out of the tube, to make it stay and beat this wetness. And I also wanted to spray some water and splash some water to get this. It looks like sand, like the brown kind of almost black sand that you often see in the shores of Italy. This is the area of Sorrento. So I really feel like this part I nailed really well. So that's something I'm proud of. That's something I'm definitely proud of. Let me know if you have any questions on this one, then we can move on to another one. Like I see new comments on the video, but I don't see them on my dashboard. But yeah, here I see Artkeeper. You should exhibit in India. Oh, I'd love to. I mean, if I get invited, that would be awesome. John, I have too many favorites. Thank you so much. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do Kiev. So we'll do this one, which I painted a small version of on the channel. And then I painted this large one. So let me show you the top. You're not missing too much there. And then I'm going to move it like this. So I went for a few days there with friends. And walking outside to the balcony, the street was frozen. Like, it was so cool. Everything was not really frozen. Like, there was a thin layer of... I'm in the corner. I love that. Just because it's comfortable. This is an interesting composition right here in this camera, right here. Because I'm really to the side. So we went outside, everything was cold, everything was white snow, kind of thin layer over the cars. And the sun was coming from that direction. And I love this, against the light, contre-jour, as they say, I think. It's just so fun to paint. A random interesting detail here is I used some opaque paint here, and I think this was the first time I started using opaque paint diluted. First time I started using it diluted. I have used it before, like straight out of YouTube. There were so many cars here. So many cars. Now when you look at it from afar, you're like, oh cool, I painted a bunch of cars, but look at it up close, there's nothing there. It's really all an illusion. It really is. You just get like a few of them to work, and then everything else fits in. The people I did put extra care into, because the watercolor people syndrome. I just had a painting here that I did yesterday of rural France with the Alvaro Castanet like paintings that I sometimes mistakenly default into painting. By the way, sorry, this may obstruct the mic because the audio comes from the computer, so my apologies. I don't like it when I default to that. I think it's mental laziness, really. So I'd love to always be more aware of that. So here I was really aware of it and made sure to actually paint the people, make them look like people, and in this angle from above, all of the cars. I love cars, so this was a real treat. And then you get the bus right, everything else kind of falls into place. This is all just a bunch of, made up crap, really, for lack of a better word. It's fantastic looking crap, but it's crap in terms of it's just random details that look like create the impression of cars. And I also made it a little lighter as it fades into the distance. This is really also one of my favorites. Let me show it to you from afar, just so you can see it. This one is on the gallery. I had a smaller version that I sold recently, and then this one is there too, the big one. This is probably also in my top, like, I don't know, top 10 paintings? I don't know, it's hard to say. But I think it should make it to that list. I don't know, it's just really, really nice. This I was really scared I mess it up, but I got it right. When I painted it, I was like, what am I doing? It doesn't look like balconies. And then it actually ended up making a lot of sense. Now, there was something else I wanted to show you. Okay, yeah. So depth. Depth is something a lot of people struggle with, right? We know that. A lot of people ask about it. So I want to show you a few of the principles that you can see them here at play that cause this sense of depth. One, details. Fewer details in the background. Fewer details make it look like it's farther. More sharper, clearer details in the front make it look closer. One more thing to have in mind. Size. Accurate drawing. Cars that are close are large, and then they go smaller. Look at, like, you may think this is the same size as this. Look at this car. Now look at this car. Look at the difference in size. It's very easy to fall for optical illusions and lose that sense of perspective. But this car is probably, I would bet, smaller than this car in real life. This looks like a pickup truck. This is like a family van, I guess. Look at the difference, or maybe just a smaller car. Look at the difference in size. Let me show it to you with a pencil. This is really cool to look at. This long. Look at that. Magic. It really is. Like, it's very easy to not notice these things, but once you measure them, you realize, oh, I drew this car the same size as this car. Doesn't make any sense, which is why this doesn't feel like there's depth to it. You know what I mean? So just those optical illusions, you have to learn how to work around them. So we talked about details. We talked about sizes and drawing. Value. Look at how these cars are darker, and I broke this rule here. I went really dark on that pickup truck, but look at these cars, and let me return it to this angle. It's much better. Better camera quality. Look at these cars, and look at how in these cars, and look at how light they go the farther they get here. Look at this car, and this car, and this car, right? It's just there is such a variance in value, and this is really important. The value goes lighter. Lastly, temperature. The one I still personally struggle with sometimes. So let me show you on an overall painting scale. Cool, and then as we get closer, warm. And you can even see this in this car that's really close to us. Very warm, very red, a bit of blue, yes, but very red, and then it starts to get a little purple and blue and blue. This is yellow, this is red, these are blue. Blue, all throughout, all the way almost to the back. There's a bit of a hint of yellow here, but mostly blue. This is really, and it's not even blue, it's gray, honestly. So gray, right? The building here is really blue. The building here is a little bit warmer, especially around the bottom, right? Or maybe there's a bit more yellow and red here, just a bit. So color, temperature, same thing. Value, details, sizes. There's 5 factors you can use to utilize to create depth. And this is, I think, a great showcase of it, right? Hope that makes sense. Let me know. Makeup prep is so hard to actually get right. Yeah, that is true, Ginny. It's a big challenge. Yes, for sure. That's one of the hardest things. Let me see what you're saying here. Fifth Avenue has a great sense of place. Thank you so much, John. Absolutely one of my favorites. Thank you so much, Shepard. Thank you. Dean says Hawaii has black sands too. Very hot on the feet. Oh, yeah, I haven't even thought of that. That has to be rough. Because the sand is hot here and it's like yellow. Gene, my favorite part of your picture at an angle is the sparkly beach. Oh yeah, I know that one. Hopefully you can do a beach tutorial in the future where you demonstrate the right time to splash water for that effect. Yeah, for sure. You do want to check out the one I did with the boats probably, because I did a similar effect, but yeah, I should probably do that. Ginny says makeup curve. Yeah, it's so hard. We read that one. Okie doke. Next one. We don't have too many. So here we're really going down memory lane. This is actually also from here. It's Acre. Acre, for anyone who speaks Hebrew, is a city up north. And it's a really lovely city. And there's this huge mosque there in the middle that is just really awesome. Now look at this, the way I painted this. And you can probably tell this is a little older. So I don't remember the year, and I don't think I wrote it down here. But this is probably, if I have to guess, either 2018, maybe 2019, most likely 2018. Could be 2017, but I think it's 2018, sorry. 2018, I believe. I can check when I took the photo. Now, out of this entire thing, my favorite part, you have the mosque here, you have the birds, you have the people. Liron's favorite part is that car that he got right. I got this car perfect, just the way I imagined it. Other than that, look at this huge highlight around people. Cut out people syndrome. Yes, yes, yes. Not too long ago, and I still get it from time to time. Cut out people syndrome. So with cars, I was actually quite proficient with the buildings, structure. But then when it comes to people, the white gap syndrome. So I have a lot to work on. Still, it's not that long ago, right? And I'm better at avoiding it now than I was back then. But yeah, I made a lot of mistakes with this one. But it's still pretty big and pretty neat looking. Let me show it to you from just the full context again, from afar. I believe I may have filmed the process of painting a smaller version, but a smaller and more abstract version. So it was a bit different than this one. Let me blow my nose. I'm just going to switch over so you don't see my face. Good. Sorry for any sound effects, horn sound effects, or elephant. And back we go. Let me show you another one. This is one I really messed up. I think this is the last one, by the way, on the list. So I was right. It took about an hour, and then we can answer some questions. Write down if you have any questions now, so that once I finish showing this one, I'll answer. So here's a fun story. The printer we have here, we didn't purchase. We actually saw on Facebook Marketplace that this high-tech company startup kind of thing, was giving it away because they didn't need it. They had like 5 new printers. So we went there and took it, and it was great, still works really nicely. And there was crazy beautiful view there. So I took a picture, and then I painted this, and I really need to repaint it because a lot of things here are all over the place. So this is an example of how there isn't enough clarity, in my opinion, in the major shapes. So let me switch over to the desk and I'll show you. I just think that it's not good enough in terms of clear shapes of value. So look at this building, for example. It's so much closer to us than everything in the background. This should probably be darker, bring it more to the front, more unified, connected to the shadow underneath it. This sticks out way too much. Maybe I should have just gave up on it, or maybe dumbed down some of these. This should definitely be darker, just to make it look closer, right? This should further be clarified and merged together. Too much variance in color here. They yellow and red and blue. It's just a big mess. And if I actually remember, I believe, where this is. So this should be the Hashmonaim Street. And if I'm not mistaken, let me think. I have a painting that I painted from a hill behind this building, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's that place. But yeah, this is a good example of how, again, not enough clarity in the initial stages. A lot to improve there. I actually really like this part because it looks like the supporting walls to the sides of the buildings. I like the street lamps and some random people details that I can zoom in on and show you. I love these, and I love how this building turned out in this kind of a balcony thing, but not enough clarity in this one. This is a bit too messy for my taste, and probably a lot to improve here. Could be interesting to tackle this one again. Let me flip over here. Could be interesting to tackle this one again because it's been a while. I think it's been about 1.5 years, which is not long, but it is long enough to maybe get a different result. You grow fast. If I just think about 6 months ago, is the time frame where I start to feel like, oh, I improved a lot since. It really is fascinating to see. With every painting you do, you grow. I truly feel that. It was even more felt in the beginning. In the first 2 years, I was like, literally every painting makes me feel more prepared to tackle the next. I'm like, oh, now I know these bunch of stuff. Oh, now I better control the wash. Now I understand that I can actually use 2 brushes. That was a huge epiphany when I watched the Mind of Watercolor, Steve Mitchell's video on it. He's like, you can use 2 brushes, one to blend, one to paint. I'm like, mind blown. You can do that. I don't have to remix constantly what I have on the brush. That was huge. So yeah, every time you pick up a new trick, you pick up a new, like, what's a good recent one I picked up on wet and wet? Oh yeah, first arrange the shape and only then worry about the wet and wet. It's really important because it's much easier for the edges of the shape to dry first than it is for the center. So you make sure that the shape looks right and only then start doing the wet and wet. Another thing I realized recently was the video I did on wet and wet too, that while you move the brush, it won't disperse the paint too much. But if you dab, it's gonna immediately move. So if you want to really control the wet and wet, keep moving the brush along the line of control. So if you want a smooth transition here, just keep moving it. And when you lift it, that's when it may spread out a bit. So all these nuanced insights that you really, it can take a long time to master, and every painting gets you there. So I think we can start wrapping it up, but I do want to look at some of questions if you have any. So let's see here. Secret the Design, which I'm sorry, I never know how to properly pronounce the username. Where can we buy your paintings? Thank you so much for asking. It's just Liron Gallery. I'll drop a link down. You can see everything here. So I'm going to be honest with you with the gallery. It's fairly interesting. So what I'm doing there is, I thought about doing some fun stuff actually. Should I put a painting here so you have something to look at? Well, no. Let's put this one because I like it. It will fit well with my face. I will switch over here like this. So yeah, one of the things I'm doing with the gallery is I'm increasing the price of all the paintings with every sale. I used to sell them for slightly cheaper, and then I did this interview with Andy Evanston, and he commented about the price. I'm like, yeah, I'm selling for too cheap. So I decided with every painting sale, I just increase all the prices. I honestly don't care. Now, this means they become less accessible, which is something I'm kind of grappling with. I want them to be more accessible to people, which is why I'm basically thinking of it in terms of tiers. So what you see in the link that I dropped in the chat is probably like the most, like the normal to most expensive price one. So you have some one there for like $5.99, and it's like, I know it's not for everyone, for sure. You know, I'm not a millionaire. I know that. But that's what I feel like they deserve at the moment. And with every sale, I increase in another $100 for everything. Now, yes, this will price out a lot of people, but it does help me continue to do what I want, what I want to do in terms of teaching and all of that, because it pays the bills. And then also one more thing is, if you noticed about a week ago, I think I did this fun thing in the stories where I dropped a painting and I just said, you have 24 hours to buy it for like the lowest price ever. It was $69 and it was sold in like 10 minutes. So I'm thinking of doing these things. I'm thinking of doing something crazy like that, where every once in a while I just upload a painting and it goes for a relatively affordable price. I would go as low as, for smaller paintings, I would go as low as like the price of a course. So if you buy a course from me for 24 or 29 bucks, I can see myself like posting a painting or a few paintings, hiding them in the gallery, not even sharing the link. That's a good idea. I'll just say, find a painting that costs 24 bucks. So then people go to the gallery and they find it, and whoever gets to pick it up first, that will be fun. Also, if you're in the Discord, and I know a lot of you who are, I'm thinking of doing something crazy there. So you may want to join if you're not there. And I think if someone can drop an invite I think you should be able to do that. I'll drop an invite maybe in a comment after the live stream ends. I'm thinking of doing something crazy, like, I don't know, we'll see. Well, like a crazy giveaway, not like a raffle, like a giveaway for a lot of people. Like grab 30 paintings, small paintings, and just start shipping. So we'll see about that. That's for the future. But the idea is to give everyone the ability to access an original painting, and then have these upper ones for yes, larger ones that I put a lot more time into for people who can afford them. I had someone who bought from me in the past, and he's visiting from abroad, and he came here and he sent me a text. He's like, hey, are you still selling in Tel Aviv? And I was like, yeah, sure, just come over to the home studio. And he came over here. We spread out all the paintings, everything I have here, and he just went over them and chose a few. And like, money in this price range was not an issue for him, I can tell. It was more about like finding the perfect thing that will fit the design of the house and all of that. So these kind of people that really can afford this range of prices will buy them, and then I'll try to always price in a way that I feel like is fair and allows everyone to get a painting. Because if I paint something that is this size, I can sell it for cheap. It's so fast. Yes, a lot of skill goes into it, but I have no qualms about it. I have no, like, everything I paint should be $1,000. No, I definitely don't feel that way. Even though I don't have anything in the gallery that's, I think, above $1,000. It's in the hundreds. But yeah, that is it. And thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. John says, I have really enjoyed your recent live streams, including this one, but when will there be more artist interviews? I love these two. Yeah. So let's talk about it. I just got burned out a bit. The interviews take so much preparation, and it's so intense that after I do a few, I'm like, I need a few months to relax. There will be another wave for sure. At first I thought, I misjudged it. I thought I want to do interviews all the time, and I don't. But then I realized I'm being way too quick to judge myself. It's not that. It's just that I need the right ratio. So for every interview, I need like 2 or 3 chill live streams. And I was doing so many of them that it was a little too much for me. So I took a break. There will be a second wave. I have some awesome artists that I am talking to. I do plan on bringing over people that are amazing in terms of skill, in terms of reach, in terms of fame. You will see good stuff to come for sure. I will do more, I promise. Vespa, rather than repainting that one you feel has too many issues, would you consider more glazes be worked on the original? So Vespa, sometimes yes. It will be it will depend greatly on the painting. The problem with this particular one is it's too much to fix, and I'd rather start fresh with a very on-point initial wash that will put things in the right place. Initial wash and then first wash of shadows that will really put things in the right context. But for many paintings, like I have a few here that one thing I don't like about them, 100%. I can take them, add something, and I'll go one step further. Sometimes, people are scared because they already removed the tape. So how will you paint like over the sky or something like that? Which, by the way, I don't recommend if it looks like this. This is cool. I love that. But if you do want to paint over a large area that intersects with the side of the paper, here's what I would do. First, you can just place another tape over it. Just be accurate, place the tape, and paint. Second, sometimes I'll just, if it's a smaller painting, I'll just be careful. I'll just paint next to it. I don't fear that too much. Now, I will give you another kind of point of perspective. The natural border is nice and all, but if someone's going to professionally frame a painting, they usually add that, the passepartout frame on top of it. I do this so that people don't have to, because it's more expensive, so you can just frame it as is and have that natural white border. My frame guy also said he likes it, and he would recommend I leave it like that for the paintings I framed myself. But I do want to give people that option. But sometimes, the paper is not perfectly cut. Sometimes there's this kind of a fuzzy edge, of course, because of the sheet, that people just put, that beveled frame on top. And then I wouldn't even worry about the edges this much. They'll cut into them. Now, this is a good point to give you a tip. When you sign, make sure to sign farther from the border, because sometimes it's at risk of cutting the autograph with that passepartout, that frame they put on the white frame and then they frame with the actual frame. If it's even a little bit not 90 degrees, they can cut over it if it's too close to the edge. So make sure to sign inside, even if it's a small painting. The autograph is what gives it the provenance in a way, like you painted it, so don't worry. Don't ruin the focal point, but you can feel comfortable signing. I never had a signature interrupt me, like in my make me think less of a painting. I don't think I ever had that case where I was like, the autograph ruins the painting. I don't think I ever encountered that. So yeah. Ginny, knowing how quickly you get better, how do you get over being too critical of past work? I frame some, then want to unframe and redo 6 months later. You know what? I think that's fair. It's fair to be critical of work from 6 months ago because you did grow since then. So you can't really force yourself not to feel critical. If you feel critical, you feel critical. Just accept it. I think just accept it becomes a motto. But really, truly think about it this way: like you can't force yourself to feel something you don't feel. So if you're critical of it, no big deal. Paint another one if you want to. Put it aside. Whatever it is. But here's where I think a lot of people get caught up in. If someone tells you they love your painting, believe them. That's the bottom line. Because I see a lot of people that they hear it and they can't accept it. They're like, no, this painting is bad. There are mistakes. I messed this up. I messed this shape up. I messed that shape up. No. If someone truly likes it, just assume they're saying the truth. They're not being nice to you. Unless it's obvious and unless it's someone who hates it, but they like you, so they say it. Like, that doesn't even matter. But just generally people won't compliment if they don't like it. I don't think I ever said about a painting that it's nice or commented that it's nice when I didn't believe that. So use me as a use case. Most people, I think, if they say they like something, they genuinely do. So yeah, if someone loves it, believe them, right? If you don't like it, sure, whatever, fair. You don't have to like it, and that's fine. You can be critical of it. Of course, wrapping up, I've just got here. Yeah, so lucky for us, we have a few more questions and a few more kind of quick chatting points. So I'll make sure you have a bit of live stream to see. Secret, the design says thank you. I know it's French. You say like pam, design. So it's secret de design. Tell me how bad I did it. Mark, Ohio, I asked a question earlier that you skipped about the abstract cubes painting, the one in the sky. Some of the smaller cubes on the left appear to be partially transparent. Was that intentional? Oh, okay, that's what you meant. Yes, it was intentional. Let me show you. Yep. Sorry, I missed it, Mark. My bad, I missed the mark. As they say, I missed the mark. That's a lame dad joke. So here we go. Are you referring to these, I guess? Let me know while we're at it. I'll monitor and see. But yeah, I kind of went gradually lighter and more transparent to the side and kind of made them disappear. Or maybe you were talking about these, right? Yeah, these are fairly transparent. It was by design, yeah. If you compare the values here, they're a tad bit darker than here, just to send it to the background. To tell you the truth, I'd have probably gone even lighter if I painted this again. Or you could darken these if you want to, but then you'll lose the colorfulness, and I like the colorfulness. I would probably paint these lighter had I done it again. Oh, I know what you mean. You mean these areas, right? The tops of the cubes. Yeah. So I'll explain it the easiest way I can. The sharper the contrast, the closer things appear. The farther things have lower contrast. So what this means is, if I have this slightly darker shape, if I don't put something light next to it, it will reduce the contrast, sending it to the back. That's what you meant, right? Sorry, it took me ages to understand, but now I do. Yes, transparent, on purpose, definitely. Even this one, you see here, transparent. I was like, it's too much on the edge. I don't want it to pop. So the goal was to just make it kind of be more sent to the back. I'm happy that I think I now understood what you meant. Sorry about that. Sometimes I'm slow during live streams. Megan says he runs Discord server. Yeah, I will do an invite, I think. Daiji Shinowari, I'm late, but I got to catch some of the live stream. I'll watch it from the start later. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, my friend. Much appreciated. And if you can, everyone, take a moment to like the live stream. I would greatly appreciate it. Marjorie says, no wonder your interviews are so fantastic. You do the homework. So you know what's interesting? Two things. My interview with Andy Evenson, I was super lucky because he was interviewed by many people before. So what I did, I had an initial kind of preparation, and then I watched like 5 interviews. I read one. I watched maybe 3, not 5. Read one, and half my questions are like, he answered them already. Or it's a question he says he's asked a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to change this whole thing, make it more personalized, make it more unique, and hopefully our interview as of right now is the most niche and nuanced because I had the benefit of him being interviewed by other people. This guy, I forgot his name. Sorry if you're watching. Matthew, I believe, but I forgot the full channel name. He's great. He has a great If you just search Andy Evenson interview, you'll find his video. Great interview, and check out his channel too. Just great channel. I don't want to pause and start searching the names. It's just a hassle, and I don't like dead air. But let me see if I can find it real fast. Sorry, because it's such a good interview that I kind of feel like I have to. Matthew. So here's how I'm gonna search for it. Matthew watercolor. Good luck finding the channel. I think it's Matthew. Yeah, Matthew White. Yeah. So Matthew White has an incredible watercolor channel, and I've been following his work on Instagram, and he's good. He's really, really good at channel exploring watercolor. Check it out. Much better than I am on a technical level for sure. And he interviews also a lot of artists. He interviewed Andy Evenson. Great interview, so check it out. So I had the benefit of that. Now, with Paul Talbot Greaves, I did not have the privilege of listening to interviews. He doesn't have any interviews out there, or maybe one. I don't remember. I don't think there's anything out there. So it was tough because I wanted to ask interesting and pointed questions, but it was much more challenging. I didn't know what I was going into. When you watch a lot of videos of someone talking, you kind of get a feeling for who they are. So I had a lot of very pleasant surprises during the interview. He's such a funny guy, It was such a pleasure. It's like this subtle humor that made me laugh all throughout the interview. It was so fun, and it's rare. I haven't met a lot of people like Paul Talbot Greaves. PTS, I call it. I call him PTG. Sorry, PTS is someone else. No, there's Patrick Lee. No, but I don't know who's PTS. I remember it's also a short for someone else's name, but I think it's PTG. I call him sometimes. Just great interview and such a great approach and determination to do this. Like I asked him and you saw this video probably, what's the worst painting advice you ever received? He's like, don't do it. That's the worst advice he got, to not paint, which I found incredibly funny. So yeah. Henny Shea, how are you? How do you get yourself to let go of paintings you really love? I feel like I hoard mine because I love reflecting over the progression and just having the physical painting too. I get it completely. If you paint a lot and you really have like hundreds of them, I don't think I have hundreds, at least not like major ones, but if you paint a lot, at some point you want to let some of them go, I think. Some people, I think it's a different kind of block, that just the fear of selling or something like that. I don't think that's you necessarily. I'm just saying it's an issue some people have. So you want to make sure that it's not that. But I think my paintings and like they are made to find their audience and make someone else happy. That's the thing, I will always have the memory of painting them. I'm lucky because I document everything. I have pictures of everything, tons of pictures of past paintings. I have on Instagram and YouTube, you can see processes of paintings I sold. And that's a huge benefit, if I'm being honest, because I have them with me no matter what. Such a cliche, but it's true. So I'm just happy that they find a good home. Plus, that's how I make a living. So, you got to sell them. But I have so many, I'll never sell all of them, sell out, at least not soon, who knows what happens in the future, but I'll always have a lot of them to hold on to, so yeah. But I get it. I love how cloth-like big paintings feel. Oh, yeah, because it's really soft paper, you mean? Or is it because of the cotton texture? I love watercolor paper. Nancy G, thanks Liron for all you share and for being entertaining. I've learned so much from you and I'm thankful for it. Thank you so much. Mark, yes, so happy I could finally answer. Arthur Koopman, is always nice to contre-jour light. Yeah, that's the best. Gianella G, greetings from Chile. I don't know if you saw this, Gianella, sorry. It's not you who messaged me on Instagram, right? So I shared a painting process on Instagram with Inti Imani in the background, which is one of my favorite bands from, I think they're from Chile, right? I'm not confusing them with a different band. Because I like Inti Imani, I like Los Carcas, I like a lot of bands from the whole Andean music and Música Andina. I love it. Not a lot of people know it because when I traveled South America, I just listened to a lot of it and it was so nice. So I'm still listening to these songs now and then. Like Sol de los Andes is such a good album. Los Carcas, Inti Imani. There's a few others. The name escapes me now, but so good. All of the Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Ecuador Andean music. I love it so much. So I don't know if you're interested in that, you can check it out. But yeah, that was fun. So yeah, I also put a link to Matthew's channel. I think this is a good point. We can wrap it up. I really hope you enjoyed seeing the paintings up close. Once every while, I feel like just doing a chill live stream where I don't paint, I don't have to think about the result and making something good for you. All I can do is just focus really on sharing some stuff with you in a fun way, which is why I did this one, which I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop them in a comment. I'll answer after the fact. If you have any, I know I've been really bad at answering YouTube comments. I'm doing the best I can. It's just a lot, but I am trying to. If you have a question and you continue to ask it, don't be afraid to ask the same question 5 times. I'll get to it eventually. I'll see it eventually because I answer every few days. It's just hard to go back and answer everything. So I answer like 20 or 30 and then I move on with the day. But yeah, so really thank you so much for being a part of this, for being in this live stream. Really do appreciate it. I'm gonna check out now. Drink something. I haven't drank like water, just water I need. But I really do appreciate it. Check out the gallery if you want to. If the pricing is too expensive, which I definitely get, it's out of the range for many people. Bide your time. I promise there will be some promos. Okay, I'm working on it. We'll do some fun stuff. Okay, so I'll try to, if I can always make some of the art accessible and then make some of it premium, that'll be ideal. I know it's very unconventional. Most artists that truly make it and the work is worth a lot of money won't sell a tiny painting for cheap. But we are not everyone. We are us, and we're doing things the way we want to here. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the stream now finally, and I will talk to you again real soon. Thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. Drop a like if you can. Drop a comment. Also, after it ends, it helps it. If you're new around here, subscribe. I'm really happy to have you on board. We'll talk again real soon.